friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jess if you're new here, and every Sunday I come on and do a weekly reading update. It is essentially a yappy last now next, and I take you along with me as I'm reading through my books throughout the week. That way when I have finished a book I can come on and let you know my initial thoughts and feelings, and if I have any other updates I feel like I need to yap about, I come on and let you know. If you also like books and you also like yapping about books, all things books related, then you, my friend, are in the right place, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. So today is Monday, and I started Saturday night / Sunday morning. I started Of the Stars and Sea by Brianna Remus, and essentially it is a pirate romantasy. So it was calling to me, it was speaking to me. I had a few other options, but that was what sounded the most intriguing. And I am actually almost finished with it. I have about 100 pages left. I am 68% of the way through, so we will definitely get that finished today, if not tomorrow. But essentially our FMC, what is her name? Rowena is a pirate captain, and when her father had passed away, she incurred all his debt, and now she is working off his debt through bounty hunting. She gets whiff of a pretty significant bounty. It would really turn the tides for her and her crew, and it would free her from her debt that her father had passed on to her. While she's doing this job, she runs into a hard-ass, take no bullshit Captain Grayson. And he ends up kidnapping her alongside of the artifact that she had stolen. He's telling her, "You're my prize now, and I'm going to take you with me, and we are going to figure out what this treasure is together, and you're mine." In this world, so there are the pirates, but there's also like a magic element to it, and there's talk of sea witches and vampires, but there's really not much mention, not much detail on what that means and what they can do. The pirate captain who abducts her is said to be immortal, but like how? Why? You know, I'm 68% into the book. I feel like there should have been at least some point where the magic system should have been kind of delved into a little bit more, and how he got to be immortal. I don't know if that's further into the story. What are you doing? So I'm not too sure. I wanted to see more of this magic system, you know, because pirates are cool to begin with. You know, and this is kind of like giving Pirates of the Caribbean kind of vibe. Similar vibe. It's not the same thing with some magic element, but like I said, I want more of what that magic element is. It's very easy to read. I have been binging it. It is a single point of view, first person perspective. I also have to say that it is marketed as an enemies to lovers. This is an indie published book, so the author herself is marketing it as an enemies to lovers, and man, it's not. It's really not. It's literally reluctant allies to lovers, you know? I can understand when they have their first interaction and the FMC, the inner monologue is like baffled, like, wow, he's beautiful, he's stunning, but he's also an asshole. Okay, that's first impressions. I get it. But when you keep incessantly talking about how gorgeous he is, but you hate him. Oh, he's so gorgeous. His lips are so plump and I could imagine myself kissing him, but I hate him. That's where I'm like, it's not enemies to lovers. It's not. It never was. It never was. It's reluctant allies to lovers at best, you know? That's my little rant. With that being said, I am enjoying it. I am enjoying this like treasure hunt aspect. It is very fun. And the pirate ship and the, you know, and the sailing is really cool. It's good. It's good. I don't think it's going to be anything like revolutionary, life-changing for me. I do believe it is her debut romantasy novel. So, you know, hats off. She's doing it. She's doing the thing. Like I said, I will probably finish that later today. Those are my initial thoughts and feelings where we're at right now. Also listening to a couple of things. So I did start listening to Kiss of the Basilisk by Lindsay Straub on Libby, and an insane amount of spice. I'm kind of selectively listening to it when I'm like by myself and I'm, you know, doing the laundry, doing the dishes, what have you, not around people. It's interesting. I mean, all these girls who were born the same year as the prince in this realm have to go through this training with the basilisk shifters in order to prep them and make sure that they are a potential candidate for the prince's hand, I guess. They teach them how to have relations. And they're teaching them how to have relations and how to please the prince. I don't know. It's interesting. The FMC is kind of annoying me a little bit because on one hand, she's like, you know, oh, I'm shy. I've never done this before. You know, I'm bashful. But then on the other hand, she's like, oh, we're doing this. I can't stop thinking about it. he's all I can think about, you know. It's like 24 hours of audio and I'm only 8% into it. So that's probably going to take me a while to get through, especially because I'm being very selective when I listen to it. It is going to take me a while. But again, on audio, I'm also listening to Protection of the Pack by Heather G. Harris, an urban fantasy, pretty much like murder mystery. Our FMC Lucy, she was on death's door essentially, and she was saved and then turned into a werewolf shifter, ends up becoming the alpha of this pack, and her number 3 ends up getting murdered. He was pretty much going to challenge her for the alpha position, so now eyes are looking at her like, did you do it? She's going to work with a human detective. I think he's human. I don't know. There's other supernatural creatures in this world. I can't remember off the top of my head if he is supernatural. It's okay. It's kind of cheesy. It was only like a 7-hour audiobook. So, you know, I figured why not? And I do want to read some more like wolf shifters and read other fantasy books that aren't just fae. That's where we're at right now. So I'll probably come back on here tomorrow and update after I finished Of the Stars and Sea and let you know my full final thoughts. And then we will talk about what is next on our docket, because we have some really good things. There's always so many good books out there to read and I can never choose. It's like choosing on a whim. So anyhow, like I said, I will come back on when I finish my book or when I feel like I need to update, whichever comes first, and I will see you then. We are back. Today is Tuesday. I just finished Of the Stars and Sea last night around like 10:30 or so, and while I did overall enjoy the story, enjoy the plot, I just felt like for it being a fantasy romance, the fantasy part was missing. There wasn't too much lore behind the vampires and the sea witches that are mentioned, so it feels like almost unnecessary to even add that into the story. If you're not going to go into any background information, any detail, any lore behind it, I felt like that was missing for me personally. This was definitely more romance forward than the plot, than the treasure hunt. You know, those elements are still there, but the romance was definitely starting to take over the whole plot of the book. There was a lot of mention of these dark witches, of these sea witches, and certain people having sea witch blood. None of the characters that you are seeing regularly have that. The pirate captain, Grayson, he is said to be immortal, but then there was no explanation to like how he became immortal. Like, what does that mean? What does that entail? Obviously he's immortal, but like, does anything else go along with it? You know, like, how do we get here? I wasn't sure if that was going to be answered at the end of the book, but it wasn't. So I'm not too sure if that was purposeful and it kind of sets up for the next book. I'm not sure. I mean, yes, overall it was an entertaining read. I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the romance. There were like maybe 2 or 3 scenes that were relatively descriptive in terms of the spice. For me, it just felt like there were huge descriptive aspects that were missing. If there's a magic system, then talk about that, you know? Otherwise, what is the point? It was very intriguing to read, but I just wanted more from it. That's where we're at now. I think I'm gonna stop listening to the Protection of the Pack. It's okay. There's, you know, the murder mystery element. I just am finding myself not caring, and I'm like 35% into the book. So if I don't care now, like why would I continue reading? Why would I push myself to continue reading? So that one was kind of a gamble to begin with anyhow. So I'm not too up in arms over that one, but I still am listening to Kiss of the Basilisk. I am 16% of the way. This one is a long one. Like I said, I still have 20 hours left of the audiobook. But that brings me to my next point of what we are going to start now. We are finally going to start The Silversmith by L.J. Claren. I am so excited for this book. I have heard such incredible things. On the back it says, power is awakening, love is a liability, and the fate of the world rests in the hands of a grieving girl who never asked to be chosen. Yeah. I feel like I have heard that this has the bodyguard trope in it, which I absolutely love. Yeah, I'm really excited to start this. I also just recently got in the mail some tabs. Listen, I have never been a annotating girl physically. For my Kindle, on the ebooks, I will absolutely annotate. I've only ever physically annotated one book, and that was a beta read, so I feel like that kind of makes sense. But I'm really excited to start this. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start The Silversmith, we're gonna continue listening to Kiss of the Basilisk, and we're gonna go from there. I will hop back on when I feel like I need to update or when I finish a book, whichever comes first, and I will see you soon. Today is Friday, and yesterday I finished The Silversmith by L.J. Claren. This book was so good. I couldn't put it down. I really couldn't. So this follows our FMC Ari. She is almost 19, and when she was 17, she had fallen in her cellar and hit her head, and so she lost all her memories prior to that point in time. And about 6 months prior, her brother and her father were murdered, and her mother had just left her 3 months ago. So she's been on her own for 3 months, living in this cabin, trying to figure out how to survive in horrible conditions. She has no money, she has no food, she is literally on the brink of death. One of her good friends, Gemma, ends up coming back to the cabin and is shocked that her mother is no longer there. And she's like, well, I'm gonna take you with me. And before more questions can be asked or answered, 4 burly men show up. She's about to get attacked by a wolf, and then she gets saved, and one of the guys is her savior. These 4 burly men plus Gemma are tasked with returning her to her actual home. And she, lo and behold, has royal blood and magic powers that have yet to show themselves. Our boy Smith takes it upon himself to train her in combat and kind of set her up for success. I cannot get over this. I genuinely cannot get over this. I had so much fun reading this. I genuinely, part of me wishes that I didn't read it as quickly as I could so I could savor it, because the way that this book made me feel, yeah, this was a good time. This was indeed a good time. The writing itself wasn't anything spectacular, but it was enough to have me deeply invested in these characters. And let me tell you, I have never highlighted something so much as I did on Kindle. Now, I know I said I was going to do the physical annotations, but I get so conflicted because if it is on Kindle Unlimited, I'm going to read it on Kindle Unlimited. That's just easier for my lifestyle. So maybe at some point, though, I will go back and re-highlight everything in my book. But I highlighted 155 things. The chemistry between these 2 main characters was everything. It was giving everything. The tension, the yearning. If you want a man who is down bad for his woman, that is the book. That is the book, okay? And at one point, I really thought that I could predict where it was going. You know, there were certain events that had happened that I was like, oh, I definitely saw that coming. The ending, I did not see coming. And I will insert a picture. Yeah, it got me. It got me real good. If you have been desperately looking for a book to get you out of a reading slump, that's going to be it. And it might put you in a minor reading slump. Fantastic. I'm obsessed. This is indie published, and I do believe that it just got picked up traditionally, so that is really cool. But then that delays the second book, which is kind of unfortunate because the way that the first book ended, yeah. This is first person perspective and primarily single point of view. You do get a couple other point of views, mainly towards the end of the book. But talk about slow burn, talk about tension, yearning. If that is something that you like and you want a story that's more romance forward, this is going to be the one. That's going to be the one. It was such a good time. So that's where we're at. I finished that. I'm still working on Kiss of the Basilisk. I keep going back and forth because while I can get past the unhinged spicy scenes, you know, those, whatever. The FMC is absolutely terrible. She's terrible. The most conflicting person I think I have ever read about. Ever. And literally in the same second, she's like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. You know, I don't think I'm strong enough. The man is like, oh no, I think you can do it. She's like, what? You don't think I can do it? Bitch, relax. You're the one that's self-doubting yourself. You're the one that's having self-pity party. Like, oh my gosh. I just cannot stand it. I am 67% of the way. I have listened to 16 hours of this and I still have 7 hours and 50 minutes left. I'm really trying. I really am. Also, none of you bitches told me that this was a love triangle. No one told me that. Between 2 princes? Hello. So it's interesting. It is interesting. I think I'm going to give it a little bit longer. I'm just like genuinely hoping that the FMC has a life-altering personality change. Otherwise, she's crazy. I cannot deal with it. Last night, after I finished The Silversmith, I ended up starting A Promise So Bold and Broken by Sophia St. Germain. That's book 2 in the Compelling Fates saga. I'm already 38% of the way in at page 171 on Kindle, and I am loving it. I'm having a fantastic time with that as well. This series is definitely more plot forward than romance. It's definitely a slow burn. In the first book, it sets you up to think that this love interest is this person, but I think it's actually this person. And I love that. I do love that. It is third person perspective, which I personally don't mind at all. And as of right now, it's just the single point of view still. As far as a physical book, I really wanted to pick one up. And I decided we're going to start The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. If you watched my TBR, my fall TBR video, then you saw this featured in it. I really wanted to read this. I have been wanting to read it for quite some time. I want to start it. So I got to chapter 2. I got to page 10. Last night I read for 20 minutes or so before bed. And so far it's interesting. I'm not really sure. I'm not too sure who our main character is right now, because just from chapter 1, it was following a different person than it is in chapter 2. I think there are several different people that this book follows, and it is third person again. So I'm excited. So far, I'm hooked. It was a woman, her husband, and her son. They are hunting and trying to teach I think he's 10 or 11 years old, trying to teach him how to hunt. And then a wolf appears, so then they have to get out and book it. And they retreat to one of their neighboring friends, and come to find out they're murdered. So that's where we're at. Like I said, I'm not too far into it, but I'm really excited to continue with that one. I'll probably be finishing up A Promise So Bold and Broken probably by tomorrow, I would imagine. The Shadow of the Gods, that one might take me a little bit longer. I will be posting a reading vlog for Wednesday, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And we'll go from there. I'll come back on when I feel like I need to update, or when I finish a book, whichever comes first. And I will see you soon. I look a little rough right now, but I just did a 2-mile walk this morning. Look at this. Ugh. I got stung by a wasp, and that was 3 days ago. And this shit itches. Hello friends, today it is Saturday. Last night I ended up finishing A Promise So Bold and Broken, and I did film that with a reading vlog, so that will be coming up on Wednesday. But I loved it. I loved it. I had so much fun with it. So this is the second book in the Compelling Fate saga, and it's kind of hard to review it because I'm not going to give you spoilers, obviously. But it was such a good time. The political intrigue in this is just chef's kiss. I love the FMC Lesia. She is such a badass. She's trying to do the right thing, even though people are trying, strongly advise her against that, and trying to build up allies and friendships. I loved it so much. There were a couple parts that I was able to predict, and it did feel a little predictable, but the ending. So the third book is out. The fourth book, however, to complete the series, is not out yet. So I believe that comes out in December, so we'll see. I really, really desperately want to read the third book. I might wait till next month or November. That way I can read it right before the fourth book comes out. I'm still reading Kiss of the Basilisk. I'm still listening to it. The FMC is still driving me crazy, but I am 67% of the way through. I'm also still reading The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I'm not very far into it. I've read it for maybe 40 minutes in total. I'm on page 36 right now. I'm enjoying it so far. This is very inspired from the Nordic culture, and if you've ever played Skyrim, this is what it's reminding me of. I'm not mad at that because I love playing Skyrim. I think there are 3 point of views in total, and I've only been introduced to 2. I'm about to meet the third point of view, so I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see where this goes because, again, I've heard such incredible things about this book and book series, so we're still working on that. But we did end up finishing 3 books this week, so pat on the back for that. We finished Of the Stars and Sea, The Silversmith, and A Promise So Bold and Broken, so I have no complaints about that. Nothing to say. So I am physically reading Shadow of the Gods still, and then listening to Kiss of the Basilisk. Sometime tomorrow I'll probably pick what my next Kindle read will be, so then I'll hop back on and let y'all know, and then we'll take it from there. What was your favorite read from this week? Let me know down below. If you like this kind of video and you like this kind of bookish content, you like the romantasy with a few other genres sprinkled in between, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. I hope you have a wonderful reading week wherever you are, and until next time.